This is an audio diary. The recording, I don't know what the score is. The date, what's the difference? I just want to record how it was, how everything fell apart. Because the story that will be told later, if anyone tells it at all, will be about the fungus, about the collapse of logistics, about starch glue, about big, faceless things. But it didn't start with them. It all started with silence, with a barely perceptible rustle, which no one paid any attention to. I remember that day. I ordered new headphones for myself. I'd been waiting for them for a week. The courier, a tired guy, handed me a box, and I immediately felt something was wrong. She was kind of soft, fragile. The corners were jammed, and the cardboard felt like wet paper. I was joking, like, "Are you saving on packaging?" He just shrugged his shoulders and said that every second one of them was like that today. I put it down to the weather. Probably the warehouse is damp, or the batch of cardboard is defective. I unpacked the headphones, they were working, and I forgot about it. I threw away the box and forgot. We've all done that. The first real bell rang in the supermarket, a couple of days later. I was standing in the grocery department, and suddenly I heard a thud and the sound of crumbling cereal. I turned around. A woman, all red with embarrassment, was trying to pick up buckwheat from the floor. The bottom of the cardboard box in her hands just fell off. A clean, even cut, as if it had never been there. The manager came over, apologized, and brought a new pack. A minute later, at the other end of the room, a battery of cans of canned tuna fell to the floor with a crash. The tray on which they were standing folded in half like a wet newspaper. There was a smell of paper dust in the air, such a strange, sweet smell, like in an old archive where everything is smoldering with time. But even then, it just seemed like a series of ridiculous coincidences. A bad day at a particular store. And then the internet exploded. It was funny at first. The hashtag Unpacking the Planet appeared. People posted videos, the courier delivers the parcel, the customer takes it, and all the contents, expensive cosmetics, electronics, clothes, fall out of the sprawling box at his feet. Millions of views, laughing emojis. Everyone blamed the delivery services, the manufacturers, anyone. There were even challenges. Try to bring the purchase home. It was reported in the news as a curiosity, the epidemic of bad packaging, joked the host of the evening show. The manufacturing defect, experts said, was a temporary failure in quality control at several Chinese factories. Everyone nodded. It was logical. It was soothing. The world couldn't break down because of cardboard boxes. I was calming myself down, but doubts had already settled inside. I worked in an office, and we had a huge warehouse for paper and stationery. One day I went there to get a new stack of printer paper, and that's where I first heard it. That's the sound of the end of the world. It wasn't a crash, it wasn't an explosion, it was a quiet, constant, barely discernible rustling, as if thousands of mice were gnawing paper in the walls. I froze and listened. The sound came from everywhere, from shelves filled with boxes of documents, from paper packages, from cardboard boxes with pens and paper clips. I walked over to one of the shelves and ran my finger over the box. It felt like velvet. Fine brown dust remained under my fingers. I looked at the rows of boxes. They were all a little swollen, having lost their geometry. The upper ones pressed on the lower ones, and they slowly, inexorably, micromillimeter by micromillimeter, crumpled, losing their structure. I remember seeing a perfectly straight stack of boxes with new monitors that arrived just yesterday, and the bottom box, it was sagging.
She wasn't tearing, but she was sagging, as if the weight of the world weighed on her alone. And I realized that it wasn't humidity. This isn't a marriage. Something else was happening, something systemic, as if the very concept of shape retention had stopped working for paper. That evening, I came home and gathered all my important documents, passport, diploma, birth certificate, and put them in my grandfather's old metal toolbox. My wife looked at me like I was crazy, and I just said, just in case. I still don't know exactly what made me do it. It's probably that smell. The smell of dust and decay that was already beginning to seep into our world from everywhere.
The point of no return. Everyone has their own idea. For some, it was the same news release about the port in Singapore with drones flying over mountains of useless junk. But for me, it all happened the day before. My office was on the 12th floor, overlooking a huge logistics complex outside the city. Giant gray hangars, endless rows of trucks, port cranes on the horizon. It was such a soothing landscape, a symbol that the world is working, that the gears are turning. It was raining that day, shallow, tedious. I stared out the window, sipped my cold coffee, and tried to focus on the report. And then I heard a rumble. No, it's not like that. It wasn't a hum. It was a roar. Low, throaty, drawling. It was as if the earth was groaning. Not like an earthquake when everything is shaking. This sound was different. It was coming through the air. He was wet. The sound of tearing cloth, only 1,000,000 times louder. I looked at the hangars, and I saw it.
It seems like 2 years. The chaos subsided. The screams turned to silence. And a new routine has grown out of the ruins of the old world. It's weird. Quiet. It's slow.
I went to get some food today. Previously, it took 20 minutes. I got in the car, drove to the hypermarket, collected a full cart, and paid with a card. Now, it's a ritual that takes half a day. I'm taking our cart, an old baby carriage that we found in the landfill and reinforced with plywood. The main treasure in it is not what I will bring, but what I will bring it in. We have several plastic containers, a couple of glass jars with sealed lids, and our main asset is a thick canvas bag that my wife sewed from an old camping tent. This is our currency, our container. The market is a former town square. There are no counters. People just spread pieces of cloth on the ground and spread out what they could grow, find, or make. No brands, no bright packaging. Potatoes in a pile, flour is in a large common bag from which it is poured into your container. If you're lucky, you carry eggs in your hands like a jewel. Today I exchanged an old power bank, which is almost out of charge, for 3 kilograms of potatoes and a liter of sunflower oil. The oil was poured into my glass jar. The man who changed it examined my canvas bag for a long time and meticulously before pouring half a kilogram of flour into it. Clean, dry, without holes, a good container is valued no less than food. What has become garbage? Almost all. The city is littered with useless treasures of the past. There are skeletons of cars along the roads. Without gasoline and whole tires, they are just pieces of metal. The windows of electronic stores are broken, but everything inside is in place. Plasma TVs, smartphones of the latest models, game consoles. Who needs them without electricity and the internet? They lie covered with a thick layer of dust, like artifacts of an incomprehensible, wasteful civilization. Sometimes children play with them. They're building towers out of iPhones. This is not vandalism. It's just a new application. The main sound of the new world is creaking. The creak of the wheels of homemade carts. Previously, the city roared with engines, blared with sirens, and screamed with advertisements. Now it creaks. This sound is ingrained in the subconscious. It means that someone is going somewhere. I'm getting lucky. That life, though strained, is moving. And the main smell? It's smoke. A light, constant smell of wood smoke and rotten foliage. People cook on bonfires and in makeshift stoves. The smell is mixed with the smell of dampness and decay that comes from the cardboard reefs, giant, packed mountains on the outskirts of the city, where what has not been pulled apart is slowly rotting in the rains. This is what's left of our warehouses and shopping malls. Monuments to our fragility. I saw an old man at the market today. He didn't trade. He was just sitting on the ground and making something out of willow twigs. He was weaving a basket. His fingers, dry and gnarled, moved slowly but surely. Each twig fell into place, creating a sturdy, lightweight, and timeless structure. People were passing by and some stopped to look. There was no simple curiosity in their gazes. There was something else. Respect. Almost a reverence. He wasn't just making a basket. He was recreating a technology that we had forgotten. Simple, reliable, independent of anything. I looked at his work, at the sturdy curves of the vine, and then I looked at my cart with plastic containers. And for the first time in the long time, I asked myself a question. We thought we were building a civilization out of silicon and steel, that we had conquered atoms and were rushing into the digital future. But what if it had been made of paper and glue all along? And how solid is what we're building now?